Hunting on television? We've sure come a long way since the days of Kurt Gowdy and the American Sportsmen of the mid-1960s, and we're still evolving. Hi, I'm Shane Mahoney. I'll be your host for this new series produced by the Boone and Crockett Club in partnership with Leupold and Stevens, Intermedia Outdoors, and our other sponsoring partners. You may know of the Boone and Crockett Club for its scoring system and record book of big game trophies. What you may not know is the club is also the oldest conservation organization in North America, founded by Theodore Roosevelt in 1887. Over the course of the next 26 weeks, I hope you learn and enjoy as we celebrate the time-honored traditions of hunting, the great game we hunt, and the system known as the North American model of wildlife conservation that made all this possible. Welcome to Boone and Crockett Country.
Boone and Crockett Country, presented by Leupold, America's Optics Authority.
We hunt. Man has been a hunter dating back as far as fossil records can reveal. Man has hunted to survive on Earth, providing himself with food, clothing, and tools. When man developed the skills to grow his food and domesticate wild animals, he still hunted. When we no longer needed hunting to survive, we still hunted. Hunting is a biological imperative from thousands of years of evolutionary psychology that has been linked to social and economic status, mating, and human health. Hunting is the one profound activity that connects us with the world we live in and keeps us grounded as a society in safeguarding that which should matter most: a healthy environment in which to live, work, and play. We know where hunting came from. As a sportsman, you are aware of its values, but there are likely many things you may not be aware of or have been lost over time that are important to know. For certain, those who do not hunt, which is the majority of citizens, know even less about hunting, if anything at all. Unfortunately, what exposure they might have could have been provided by anti-hunters or by others who do not fully understand hunting, how it connects us to the land and nature, or its role in conservation and wildlife management. Hunters make up less than 10% of the population in North America. The good news, however, is that surveys show 73% of these non-hunters still support hunting, or are at least neutral.
One of the main purposes of this series is to have the discussion with you, our viewers, about what will happen if this 73% number declines, and what can be done to prevent this from happening. In our democracy, society decides what stays and what goes. It is very likely that hunting still has such a high approval rating among non-hunters today because they can still remember an endeared family member, an uncle or a grandfather that has passed on who was a hunter, or they know someone who hunts and whom they think highly of. But what of the next generation, or the one after that? Will these fond memories of loved ones who hunted carry forward? And with the inevitable passage of time and the ongoing change in society, will the loss of such memories mean a loss of public support for hunting?
Police hunt suspects. Youngsters hunt for Easter eggs. Shoppers hunt for bargains. Whalers hunt for whales. Sealers hunt for seals. Ghost hunters hunt ghosts. College students hunt for apartments. There's mushroom hunting, hunting for a job, and hunting for missing persons. And there is the hunting we as sportsmen consider hunting. Our society has been exposed to a host of activities that have been labeled as hunting. But clearly hunting for Easter eggs or ghosts is not the type of hunting that would be confusing to non-hunters. But there are activities today that are being sold as hunting that are not hunting. Hunting, by definition of the Boone and Crockett Club, is the lawful, fair chase pursuit of publicly managed wildlife, designated as game species by wildlife authorities. in a manner that upholds the skill of the hunter. Regulated hunting under these circumstances ensures the sustainability of the hunted population and the long-standing traditions of hunting. This definition is critically important. Since our society decides what is acceptable and what is non-acceptable, and therefore should be kept or eliminated, hunting should not be confused with practices that are not truly hunting. For example, pursuing and killing any big game animal kept in or released from captivity to be killed in an artificial or bogus hunting situation is a canned shoot and is not hunting. Unfortunately, non-hunters are being told this is hunting by those looking to gain support against hunting itself.
Past the standards our society places on hunting, there are other pressures exerting themselves. These take the form of threats to wildlife habitat, to wildlife themselves, pressures on how wildlife and land is to be used, and how conservation and wildlife management are funded. It is our intent throughout this series to celebrate the contributions of hunting and sportsmen to our society, the economy, and to wildlife and the environment. But we would be remiss in our discussions if we did not cover the threats to our hunting traditions and to wildlife, and what's being done about them. Being knowledgeable about these issues is both a responsibility of us as sportsmen and something we need in order to safeguard our traditions and opportunities afield.
The wildlife all citizens enjoy today did not happen by accident. It is true that prior to white settlement in North America, there was abundant wildlife living in natural systems, coexisting with what few Aboriginal tribes existed at the time. In a very short 100 years, this all changed forever. We lost some species of birds and mammals to extinction, and nearly lost many others to overharvesting, irresponsible land use practices that destroyed native habitats, and diseases passed from domestic animals to wild populations. This is not fiction. This is a matter of historical record that all came to a head a little over a century ago. What happened? What changed the course of history in North America that saved us from our own thrust to conquer the wilderness and destroy that which made the New World such an attractive place to move to and live? That which threatened our natural resources, the true health and wealth of the continent?
Probably one of the greatest, yet least told stories we have in our history, is that in the great achievement of wildlife rescue in North America, sportsmen are what happened. Sportsmen, hunters and anglers led the first environmental revolution in North America. Sportsmen, just like yourself, stood up and said that what was happening to our wild natural resources was wrong. But we did more than that. We proposed how to repair the damage and how to return wildlife abundance. And then we proceeded to do just that.
Throughout this series, we will be discussing and celebrating the sportsman-led conservation movement in North America, how this changed the course of history, gave us the abundance of wild places and wild things all citizens enjoy today, and the relevance of hunting and fishing to the conservation ethics of the future. The first thing we will learn that might not be so obvious, especially to those who know little about hunting's history, is that wildlife was not the only thing that was saved. Saving decimated wildlife populations, the game sportsmen cared for, may have been the early motivation. But those who led the first charge, men like Theodore Roosevelt, George Bird Grinnell, and Aldo Leopold, realized right away that habitat was everything. These early conservation leaders realized that protecting wildlife, game species in particular, was not enough. Without healthy ecosystems, all would suffer, including the people. Sportsmen as the first environmentalists. This is the untold story.
You might be expecting to watch another hunting show. That is understandable. But this show will not be about the techniques of hunting. I promise you, though, that the information we will be presenting will be even more valuable than how or where to hunt. If our system of wildlife conservation and management are to continue to be successful, given the many pressures being brought to bear today, we need informed sportsmen like you, passionate people who know the history and know the science. These are the sportsman leaders of tomorrow. Being a conservationist takes more than just being a successful hunter. It means acquiring the knowledge to know and forge our future.
And now, a closer look with Doug Painter, presented by Leupold, America's Optics Authority.
Truth is, we don't like to look at the downside, to see that proverbial glass as being only half empty. But in life, we can't always look through rose-colored glasses. As we look to ensure a healthy future for our hunting heritage, we must be sure to identify and understand the threats we face. A growing population, for example, translates into added pollution, the loss of habitat, and a growing demand for our natural resources. We also cannot ignore the impact